Monday, March 18th. This is continuation of Tuftonboro Board of Selectmen's meeting following non-public session. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, first item on the business is election of officers. And
Yeah, I think we have to wait.
until after the recount, okay?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
we'll defer that to future meeting. Next up is public input. Yes, Joe?
What recount?
There's a recount scheduled for Wednesday at 10 o'clock here.
For what office?
For the Selectmen's office.
Oh, okay. Didn't know. Thank you.
It's,
At the request of Guy Pike.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to consideration of minutes. First up, we have the public minutes from last Tuesday, election day meeting.
I'll move the minutes as drafted.
Second.
Any, it all looked good to me. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the 10:20 a.m. non-public session.
I have no changes.
I'll move the minutes as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
And they will stay sealed?
They will stay, well, that's my recommendation. Next is the 11:20 a.m.
I have no changes.
non-public.
I'll move the minutes as drafted.
Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye.
And the
Opposed?
status will stay the same.
I'm not certain.
No, these can be unsealed.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's no reason to,
I'll make the motion that we unseal these minutes.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And finally, we have a 3:18 p.m. Non-public session.
I'll make a motion, we approve them as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And you're ruling here?
Those should remain sealed for the
Good job.
time being. All right. So, all right. Is Chief Shigori around?
I'll check.
Yeah,
I'm just mulling.
a recount.
Yeah.
There's no limit or range that you have to stay within for local elections. I can do it larger scale.
Actually, if you read the statute, anybody that gets votes in an election, anybody that gets a vote cast for them has the right to request a recount. They have to pay for the recount. Everybody has to pay. But, so if you're a write-in on a ballot and you want to recount, you can recount.
They're not specific about what you have to pay, so I let the moderator know that my rate's $250 an hour.
There you go.
It'll just be a few minutes.
What should we do?
Well,
Live
what's I guess potentially the situation here is the integrity of the system. If the recount is substantially different than the first count, then that suggests that we got a problem. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but I don't believe a word of it, so I guess,
You don't think that there's gonna be a difference, or you?
I don't think there will be. If there's
Well,
one vote different or.
All
two
I'm,
votes
right, all I'm
different, I
saying
don't
is
think
if there's a substantial difference, then that would
See, I only
suggest.
bring- I only bring my busloads of Mexicans up here on national
Yeah.
elections, so local elections, I think, are pretty
I don't
sacrosanct.
know, I've counted votes a lot of years now. I said everybody's got their price in the Tufton vote counter. Probably comes cheaper than most, but it's like an elevator. You know, every time I get into an elevator, I always have to see the inspection sticker,
Yeah,
and I said,
Yeah.
I wonder what that guy's price is.
yeah.
Were you there?
As you're
Did
stuck.
you count this time?
No, I didn't.
There was a ton of people counting,
Yeah.
so I can't imagine that.
Do we want to go with the library?
Is he coming?
He said a few minutes, he's in the middle of typing.
All right. Let's go on and
All right.
invite our library trustee chairman to the table and congratulate you on a project well launched.
That was one of the few evenings where I really wish we had a ballot count, or a paper ballot,
Yeah.
just because I would have loved to see what the plurality was.
Or.
You saw it,
Or,
'cause you were
yes.
looking this
Yeah.
way, and I
Right.
was looking that way, trying to crane my neck, but
Yeah, I don't think it was.
there were a lot of
10%
cards out
over
there. I said between 80 and 85, but
At least, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
392 to 12.
So,
it was very encouraging.
Yeah.
Very encouraging.
well, I asked Karen to invite you this morning so we can just chat a little bit, particularly about how the money piece is gonna work
Mhm.
and also elicit from you any help that you might need from this board moving forward, other than paying the bills as they come in.
Well, that was our number one, we had a trustee meeting last Thursday morning, which just was scheduled. And we also discussed this type of situation.
Yep.
As to who's to pay the bills. I mean, physically, who writes checks. You have Marcia Hunter, who are very, very competent treasurer, but she's a volunteer. And you have people on staff to do that, that are paying for it. We'd be very happy to release funds as necessary. I'm not gonna release them all at once because there's no making money on it.
Right.
Right now, for example, our Fidelity account, we're still making about $1,000 a month in interest, which will, continue until we get to the point.
Well, I think as a town project, what this is, that the accounting for the overall expenditures needs to be centralized, and the way to do it is through the system that we have here.
That's fine.
My suggestion is that as we start the project, that we work down the capital reserve fund until we've worked through all of the money there that's been authorized. And then we start working off the pledges and donations money until we work through that. And then the balance that's left at the end.
Well, despite the amendment on Wednesday night, I thought we'd already pretty much agreed that was the general order of attack.
Right,
anyway.
exactly. But I'm,
No need to say that we're gonna hold on to interest outside of the designated amount.
right.
I
But
told my trustees, I said, when this is done, that there is no more building account for the Tufton Borough Library. We will exhaust every penny we have
Right.
before we get to the next level. So,
Right, so, I guess, and that's the approach that we had discussed in the past, but just to sort of reinforce it, as the bills begin to come in, I think that we can pull out of the capital reserve fund on an item-by-item basis to
well, the bills are already coming in.
okay,
And we have already paid 2 installments to SMP
okay,
of a little bit more, $16,000
Now-
for each one.
when we sat in December and we agreed that we were gonna split that architectural cost.
Yes.
Okay, you have paid the bills, or you paid your part of the bill and we have to pay our
No, we
part?
paid the bills.
Okay, so,
And we decided as trustees, until we get to town meeting, get approval,
mhm.
then, you know, this is still on our watch and so. But now, as the bills come in, we can have, you know, we can forward them on up to here, we can do it out of capital reserve, and we'll just hold our money until such time as the capital reserve is exhausted. And that's the way you want to do it.
Well, I mean, it still is a town building, so we
Yes.
really should pay out of here. Do you have a schedule from your contractors or your designers or whatever?
Well, we have a meeting on Thursday morning with the architect and North Point Engineering, which is our engineering company. To discuss, you know, where we're going. The plans are, I don't want, they're not done yet,
Right.
but they're, you know, rapidly coming to a close because,
Warm weather is upon us. Warm weather is upon us.
well, warm weather is upon us, but S&P is very anxious to get this going because this is not the only thing on their plate, because Exeter passed for their library too, and S&P is the architect for that one. That's a much bigger project than this.
Yes.
Sure.
So we want to get this, as I said.
And they need to have their part done so that you can get your builder to give you a schedule
So
of
we-
events.
exactly, so we
Right.
Yeah.
we can get the,
Would you like a representative from this body to attend your meeting on Thursday?
happy to, happy to. You know, that because that becomes the other question, who's running the show? You know, is this the selectmen are building this building, the trustees building this building? I'd like to have a little bit more clear delineation as to whose responsibility is what. It is a town building, as you say.
Right. I
It is.
think, I don't know that the selectmen can take over the project though. I mean, I think we can obviously offer Jack and all that, but,
Well, we
because we really haven't had any input in the design or any of the other.
Well, that's right.
stuff.
We have, we discussed gathering a few individuals from the community to act as a building committee to
Yeah,
help
there
us
you go.
with different levels of expertise in this thing. I mean, I've built commercial buildings in the past. I've built schools in the past. It's been a while since I've done it. But I know how the procedure goes, but
Yeah.
I don't want to end up with a group of, 25 people trying to do this thing, but, a couple, three more folks in the equation that
Sure.
want to do it, that would be great. And use it guys as well.
Okay.
I'm happy with the library to be the point.
Yeah, but I think
It's their building.
Gordon's right, I think one of us has got to be on. And no volunteer.
Okay.
You guys are holding out.
No, that's fine, that's perfect.
But I think, yeah, sure, if you're on a building committee, it's certainly needed.
So we've got a couple, I have a couple, we have a couple, three names in mind. And people who've had experience in this type of situation. So, as I say, I don't want to have a gang of.
We don't want them making decisions, I mean, basically it's reporting,
Yes.
because the decision-making on one end is yours and on another end is ours.
It's a corporate.
The other question is that I had for you is that the wonderful world of social media that it is, it came up on the social media platforms, that how is this to fit in with the new procurement policy for the town? Or does it fit in?
We haven't enacted the procurement policy, I don't think.
I thought it was.
2 weeks ago, we signed it.
2 weeks ago we did,
Yeah.
that's
It
right.
fits hand in glove with it.
All right.
Very simple. Makes it easier for you to do your work.
So in other words, relationships that we already have ongoing, are those affected by this policy?
Those are contractual.
We have contractual obligations,
That's
we have
right.
signed
And you
contracts.
met with them already?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, you've met them already? No, I'll be candid. There's one in particular budget committee member that hates Bowen. That's his,
I understand that.
that's his personal opinion.
I understand.
And he's entitled to it.
I just don't know how this is, I mean, so for example,
All right,
As
so when you
far
get to furnitures and fixtures, which isn't part of the program that you established with your builder, for
Yeah.
instance, Now, the procurement does weigh in. You have to put that out on the street. It isn't, you know.
Well, and as I recall, the last time that Bowen did a project for us, once they got to the point of now we gotta get people to do the work, they had contractors in various areas bid on the.
Right.
Well, of course, it's all a bid, it's all
Right,
going to be
right.
a bid process.
Right.
But I just don't know whether,
It was all open process.
what is it? We're not trying to do anything
No, you aren't.
back door. but
As a matter of fact, it's already been used here in town.
Okay, that's fine. What else?
But it's still a good question.
Well, as I say, it's on social media, so it must be true, along with all the other numbers that I read.
Yes.
Oh, and I also tell you that we are scheduled to meet with the planning board at their April 18th meeting. I hate to use the word courtesy call, but essentially it is a courtesy call.
Yes, it is.
Right. As a town building, when I was subject to zoning and that sort of thing. We are subject to state requirements, but Matty, I'm contacting me and said, would we be,
Come on down.
come on down, and so we will get our stuff together and send out the letters to the abutters and that sort of thing, and public notices, that's it. As if it was a private project with using those parameters, but as we all know, it's not a private project.
Right.
But from his perspective, I can see the value in that. I mean, we get it at this level, I'm sure they get it at the planning board level. And, you know, the town can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was 40-something parking spots that you're providing. I think if you actually had to go through site plan review and pass, you probably would pass.
Mhm.
So why not go through the process?
Well, exactly,
And
exactly.
then you can say, well, you know,
We want this process to be as transparent as possible,
Sure.
and we're perfectly willing to play within the rules.
Yep. One thing I have for you, was brought to I was reminded on Thursday, the utilities do an energy efficiency workshop periodically,
Mhm.
where they highlight some of the things that, best practices and that sort of thing. As you know, I think we all know, the utilities collect a system benefit charge from all customers every month. It goes into a pool, and that money is used by the utilities to subsidize energy efficiency work.
Mhm.
And they have different ways they deal with retrofit work and upgrade and new construction. But our rep at the co-op reminded me on Thursday that if we're getting ready to do a new building project, that having our architect engage with them, and I'll give you his card.
Oh, thank you.
Before the design is complete, enables us to make sure that we maximize what we're doing. Typically, what the new construction program does is this pool of money funds 3/4 of the difference in cost between, let's say, standard stuff and higher efficiency stuff. So may not be huge dollars, but it underwrites most of the difference to do the upgrade, whether it be heavier duty insulation, more energy efficient, this, that, or the other.
So in
So,
our case, it's gonna be all, I think it's probably gonna be all about the lighting
yeah, lighting.
yeah, but again,
and the HVAC.
right,
Because of the size of the building, it's been already pointed out that, you know, the possibility of three-phase power. Now, we have three-phase power at the pole, so it's not as if, you know, a big deal to bring it in, but I like to avoid that because the associated, you know, ongoing costs.
Mhm.
Which means that maybe you do some split systems.
Well, and of course, the mini splits are extremely,
Well, I'm
Energy
not
efficient.
talking mini splits like this, I'm talking about, you know, stage boilers and that sort of thing.
yeah, but even so, the high efficiency heat pump systems today,
Mhm.
they have units that operate with a central outside unit and multiple indoor units. Anyway,
And they're pushing that like no tomorrow, because look at your buildings, do that.
yep, absolutely, but having the architects engage with them earlier in the process, even upgraded installation standards beyond what's required in the code, the difference can bring some money back, and we all pay into that fund every month, so whenever we can get some of that back, it's a good thing.
Did I send you a thank you note when I put the solar power on my house? Must have forgotten.
No, let's not get into that.
Okay.
All right, so,
So that's where we are. 9 o'clock on Thursday morning at the library. If you want to join us, and we'll figure out where to go from here.
and you're gonna start sending all the bills here, correct?
We will start. I will now
All right.
have
And,
those forwarded here.
and Diane will be handling all the accounting. I know she's already set an account up. That way we can track everything that's spent, make sure that
Okay.
DRA and the whole rest of the world is happy with
And I will provide to her the copies of the first 2 invoices that we've already paid.
Great.
All right.
So, just so I'm clear, what we approved at town meeting is after the drawings are done. In other words, the cost of getting the design work done, we agreed back in December that we were gonna split between
Exactly.
your funds and the capital reserve money. And out of that capital reserve, we have set aside money to pay for our half of that.
That's right.
So that doesn't go against the building project, but per se.
$1,997,000 is what it's going to cost.
Right.
Okay, and
Right.
we've already, I have a better word, encumbered $135,000 of that.
Right. But that's the reason that the project that went to town meeting was $1,862,000 because
I
we'd already committed that other money.
We're on the same page, we'll make sure the camera, the
Yeah.
camera are on the same page.
Right. Okay.
All right,
Great,
very good.
thanks.
May I just ask a question? Because I've been asked a thing about the procurement policy too. So just to be clear in my minutes, is it anything that's not under contractual obligation? Is that what you've decided? I just want to make sure I write it correctly. in my notes.
When you look at the policy, there are certain things that are accepted or exempted from immediate action in competitive bidding. There's like half a dozen different items, and one of those is an existing ongoing
Okay.
contract, and one of them is if it's something that's on the state bid list already, or it's a state-approved contractor, and and one of them is I think if we bid that work within past whatever period of time. In other words, we go out to bid on something, on a service, we select a bidder, we can continue to use that bidder for some period of time before we have to go back out to
All right, yes.
the competitive bid again.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
And before I step away from the table, thank all 3 of you for your support in this project. It was very, very nice to have a united front as far as the elected officials of the town.
It's a nice community. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
See you Thursday.
Yep.
Travel safe.
Excuse me.
Chief,
I warmed it up for you. Good
good
morning.
morning.
Excuse me.
Morning.
See you later.
Those questionable ballots.
I don't think so, positive questionable ballots.
This is all year to date.
Year to date, yep.
Okay.
Oops, should say end of February there instead of end of January. It's actually not year to date, it's end of February.
Yeah.
End of February,
It's no, January 1 to the end of February.
okay.
In other words, we're in March now, so
So
there's
it is year
been
to
more
date.
stuff.
That's to the end of February.
Yeah.
28.
So what's going on, chief?
You can see car stops are up. Accidents are down slightly. Other activity,
We have caused more accidents, is that what we're gonna do?
I really hope not. I think we got enough. We've been working on, obviously, Officer Gillis has been going through her training, and I had to put in for an extension because her certification won't be done until after 6 months. So, the academy requires that an officer be certified within 6 months of hire. She'll be in the academy and during that, at that date, so it's part of the application process. I was supposed to submit a extension, so I've submitted that. I'm gonna call into the academy about that. We've gotten some work done on the vehicles recently, so a little more to be done on one of the cameras isn't working quite right on the Explorer, so we're gonna be getting that done. Recalls were done on the truck, so we've been relaying them back and forth to get some work done that we need to get done. So that's kind of what we've been doing, is spending a lot of time on it, especially, Officer LaFay's been doing a lot of the training with Officer Gillis, so that's what we've been working on, and getting, obviously, the month of February was getting her handcuffing, baton training, OC training, that sort of stuff done. So she's in firearms, so she's qualified with firearms and all that, so
And she's doing well?
seems to be doing well.
Good.
Now, as you document this training, you have some sort of a log that, a written log that, or is it on a computer, or is it?
Yeah, we have a kind of, it's an FTO program where a daily observation report's done, a weekly report's done, and a monthly report will be done. The first few weeks, she was actually kind of a limbo period because she was doing her training. Of course, we've logged all that. Obviously, we've logged all that for our liability protection. And document that it was done. The academy requires certain things to be done. For example, she can't work alone until she's certified, but there were other things I had to agree to also, that she wouldn't carry a gun until she's had use of force training and training in the law and qualified as required by the Police Standards Training Council for any officer, but she has to before she can carry a gun. That's what we've all done. So there's a weekly report and a daily report, which Officer Fave does. So, but she had a few weeks of limbo where she was getting uniforms, getting stuff. We're still waiting for a few pieces of uniforms to come in. They've been on extended back order, kind of frustrating. Her body armor, apparently she's wearing an older set that doesn't really fit her, but it's hers should have been here by now, but they had a problem, and now it's going to be on 3 more weeks. So it's pretty frustrating, but we're moving along.
I had a couple of comments after town meeting that got me to thinking with respect to how we deal with parking and that sort of thing. And it overflows. We're parking down the road, we're parking across the way, we're parking in the library lot.
We had an
and-
accident out front,
Did we?
minor, hit mirror against mirror, almost no damage really.
Oh, okay, well,
It popped the cover off one mirror and put like a white mark on the other. That's why I had to leave partway through the meeting to go out, and that's when I found the part that fell off the other mirror, and then I talked to the person I called the guy out to explain what happened to his car, and then I talked to him the next day, and he's like, it's he said I could probably buff that right off. It's not It wasn't too drastic, but gets narrow and it's a problem. And technically, all those cars that park in the road at night, you're supposed to have lights on.
So I guess where I'm going with this is, maybe it makes sense for town meeting to have a traffic detail out at the road, both, as people are coming in, and particularly at 9:30 or whenever we get done, as people are leaving, just as a way to help increase the safety, visibility. Another thought runs through my mind is that taking more of the spots closer to the building and making them temporary handicap spots might not be a bad idea for town meeting. Those of us that are still ambulatory, if we have to walk a little further, and let those that are struggling a little more get those spots up
Were there
front.
handicap drivers that didn't find a place to park?
Well,
I don't know this.
I know
I
of
don't-
a
I don't-
couple and
I-
they found a spot.
I don't know, but, it's, if you leave a few more spots up close for
Right.
folks that are handicapped, not a bad idea. The other thing is parking lot lighting. And, I don't know what, I'll talk with, or mention it to Chief Thompson. I know they have lighting that they use. I don't know if there's anything that we can set up for town meeting night to increase the visibility for people walking. I left late, and there were still a few cars parked on down the road, and some people walking along there, and, it was pitch black, and there wasn't a lot of traffic, but not
Yeah.
not the safest situation. So something for us to think about at any rate.
Yeah, definitely, it gets tight, that's what happened, there were cars on both sides of the road, and somebody swerved to avoid, the other car moved over, and that's when they hit mirrors, and
Yep.
just so the saving grace is they're both essentially the same model car, so the mirrors are the same height, so it didn't maybe that was good, maybe it was bad, but it didn't really it's minor, very minor damage, worked out, but yeah, it's certainly a concern when you have the people walking down the road at night, as you say, and the snowbanks make it so they have to park partway into the road as opposed to.
Right.
It is a problem parking at the school when they have big events anyways, even when there is no snowbank to deal with, but obviously the snowbanks cut into what could be parking areas.
Right. And don't allow people to pull off in areas that are outside the parking lot that you could use if there weren't snowbanks there. So, I'm looking at this from a perspective of how do we make it better for people coming to town meeting, both getting there and leaving. And as we get older and less fun, it becomes more of a deterrent for, I don't think that's a good situation, so. My 2 cents worth on that.
Now that we have a multi-gender police force, we need to make sure our sexual harassment training's up to date. We can't depend upon the police academy or the police associations to manage that for us. So I know Primex has training, I know local government does. One of the biggest liabilities in a case for sexual harassment is the lack of training. If there's no effort towards training, then there's prima facie evidence of bad doings. We don't care, is what that says.
I don't think we've had that in the town for a few years, it'd probably be good for
Everybody should.
everybody to get it.
Right.
Well,
I
and
mentioned
with
it,
respect to sexual harassment, early and often is
And the law
the
changes
catch word in terms of
constantly.
training.
What elements?
I think last time we had Climax came and did it, part of our,
And we have a fire department with female members, so we, it's
we have a
it's
whole,
imperative.
our whole workforce.
Yeah, except for they just deal with us. We don't have to take the training. Right, for the
Yep.
bishops. Anyway, but I strongly suggest we get that put in place.
Lloyd? Anything else?
Anything about the election day? you want to wait until we have our review?
Yeah,
Okay, fine.
all right. Anything else?
I had a boss who used to do that.
Huh?
I had a boss one time that used to do that. Say, I'd see him on Friday and say, "Gah." I said, "What is it?" "I'll tell you on Monday." Just to ruin my weekend.
That's right, so then you fret about it all weekend, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Don't fret.
All right.
okay. Thank you, chief.
Yep.
Travel safe.
All right. Let's go to the signature file. All right, first I have request of extension to file a timber report for PID 32-2-4 and 32-2-6, and also one for PID 30-3-9 and 43-3-4.
Are these new today?
Huh?
Are these new today?
Yes.
Yes, I just literally
These
gave
are,
it to him, yeah.
these are just extensions on existing timber harvest.
Yeah.
So that, they're not done yet, and they want to extend
I think
to
the
allow cutting
extensions
through
have to be
August
by April
15th.
1st, don't they?
That's correct.
So I'll make a motion that we grant these extensions.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
No.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Next item we have is the contract with Normando Associates for the 19 Mile Brook baseline environmental assessment. This was an item that was approved on the warrant on last Wednesday. And total expense for this item is $45,870, which I hope is what we approved.
I think it was.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to sign this contract.
All right.
Second.
And this is for one signature. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so. This, I can sign it there.
What are the other lines for?
Witness. Okay. And the next item that we have for signature is the settlement agreement with New Hampshire Electric Co-op. This is on their appeal. It settles their appeals of taxes for 2014 through 2017, through 2018, their appeal of the assessed valuation. And I've gone through it. It is consistent with what we reviewed in the handwritten memorandum of understanding.
I read it too.
And what it does is it
Doesn't
we-
it codify it through 20?
Yes.
and it sets the assessed valuation for 2019 and 2020 at an agreed upon level. subject to additions and deletions of equipment. But the effect of that is that we will be crediting them an overpayment on the taxes for 2014 through 2018 to a total of about 45% of what they had requested. So we're a little closer to our side than the middle on that. And as part of this agreement, we will credit them $11,625 with each tax bill over the next 3 years. So it spreads out the refund to them as a rebate back through that period.
And their total tax liability is what, 10 million, 15 million? It's on the last page there.
No, that's the assessed
The
valuation.
assessed value?
Right.
And that's in the millions of dollars, right?
Yep, it is. So, and I see Jackie must have figured out how to print this out the other day.
Oh, I did that this morning.
You figured out?
Yeah.
Oh, great, because
Okay.
when she and I talked about it on Friday, she said, you know, she was looking at a tax card and would only print out like the most recent 2 years.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's a little button we can hit.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Anyway, so I had gone back.
Can I have a copy of that when it's signed?
and validated it.
Support
All
document.
right.
Well, I'll make a motion that, is it just the chair that signs?
No,
or else?
all three of us. Everybody is on the line for this one. So,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right.
And I'm certainly in hopes of my small refund of my property taxes when they credit the amount that they're not paying in property taxes to our individual electric bills, because I'm sure that's exactly what they're gonna do.
All right.
Do you want a comment from the public?
Let them recognize.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, I don't know if it's pertinent to what you're involved with, but it does involve co-op. We had an incident a couple of weeks ago where a tree came down, broke the power pole out near the laundromat
Yes.
and the pump house. Well, they got power back up. Everyone down the line had their service, power service. Well, I had no water pressure, and it's because the power to the pump house is serviced by that catastrophe or conflagration. What happened was the mast got knocked off the building, and what they did is disconnected the lead from the pole to the mast, caught it up, left it on the ground, and didn't tell anybody. They didn't realize that power feeds 5 people.
Uh-huh.
Well, the fellow that's renting room for his equipment in back of Pack 2000, I notified him, and he, 7 hours later, said, I found the cause, but I am about that far off the ground. He said, I tried to report it, and it was like talking to somebody in the Philippines. They had no idea what I was talking about. And I don't know, we had to pull over somebody, a lineman or something, and say, I've got power problems up there, your wire is laid on the ground, no notification, and on your line card, there's no notification, this is a community well. And all you did was disconnect stuff and walk off and didn't bother to notify any officials or, so is this something that can be communicated to them that not, well, in my particular instance, it's being brought to your attention, but service like this is not absolutely critical. I mean, I've got the lake across the street if I need water,
Mhm.
but they
So,
should be a little more responsible.
and they disconnected it because there was
The
damage.
mast on the building, the pole on the building where it connects will get knocked off too.
Right.
So everything was laying on the ground. I don't know what the condition of the feed was from the pole to the mast, but they just disconnected at the their service at the pole and just coiled up and left it there. Without telling anyone. And I assume there would be some kind of traffic control there, police officer or something, saying we had to do this, we had to do that. And they also did it to the laundromat. They were, there was no occupancy there, of course. I mean, it wasn't an occupied building, of course, but it was.
Well, I know that the fire and rescue folks were there the whole time that they were working on it,
Yeah.
providing traffic control and safety. And personally, Adam might be able to shed some light on those kinds of situations. I mean, I know that it's the individual owner's responsibility for anything, you know, like the power line gets knocked off on your feed into your building, it's your responsibility to get that fixed. I guess what your heartburn is with is the fact that nobody knocked on somebody's door to say, hey, this thing is shut off because it's damaged and it needs to be fixed before it gets
I
turned on.
don't think the fire department even knows that there's a public, a community well pump house. It should be on power company, co-ops, line cards or records.
Yeah.
You call in, well, if you can call in, get understood by somebody, oh, yeah, this
Well, so who gets the bill for that?
Belknap. I mean, PAC 2000,
Okay, so maybe they were notified.
nobody around.
Well, all I'm saying is,
Yeah,
if I get an electric bill, okay, and I pay the bill, right? And there's an issue with my service from the pole into my residence, and they want to let me know, they're going to call me. If PAC 2000 is the customer and they call PAC 2000, even if nobody's there, they may have notified somebody, but you wouldn't know because it wasn't you. You know what I'm saying?
well, the only person in residence anywhere, occupancy, was us. And it was, we were notified of our pressure went down to 30 PSI for the house.
Mm-hmm.
We had the good sense to call the fellow that's renting the room, the buildings in the back for his equipment. We've lost water pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, let me go out and check. Well, he's not hired to do that. He's just leasing, I guess. He's kind of a go-to guy for plowing access.
Yeah.
Like a kid.
I understand. I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just trying to understand how things work.
Yeah.
And if the power's running to my house, okay, and the bill is to me, and I
Yeah.
send the money for it, meter's my meter, and the feed from the pole to my house is damaged, so they disconnect it, I suspect that they would call me and say, hey, this thing is disconnected, you need to get it fixed. So if PAC 2000 is the customer, and they call PAC 2000,
You don't get anybody.
okay, so how are they gonna know where else to go that's
I would
the question.
notify, having been in that kind of business before, I notify the authorities, police department. Hey, we have to do this to that in case somebody calls. This is the reason, and this is what you do.
Yep. All right, well,
And they may have done that.
yeah,
Well, and you said the fire department was there.
yeah, yeah. I know Adam's guys were there the whole evening, so, you know, I don't, whether they were told that it was, that they were disconnected or not, I don't know, but,
Well, I'll have to check with Adam, that's
yeah.
the only responsible people that were around. PD probably wasn't there, other than initially.
Well, when I went through there was just fire and rescue guys there.
I will connect with them.
Yep. So, but, I mean, took a while to sort out what the heck was going on, right?
Well, yeah, fortunately, we can do without water.
Yep. Okay,
All right, so
All right.
we've signed that, have we?
yeah, I think we did, right? All signed, and then we'll fax that back over. All right. Selectmen's update. Mr. Wood.
On Friday at 1 o'clock, I'll be meeting in Laconia for Northern Boundaries. That's the same thing I did a couple years ago, and I'll follow up with you.
Good.
It's grant writing. I also have a question. The June 1st deadline is basically 3 or 4 months away. Is there anything the Board of Selectmen can do to help the master plan process get completed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do we have, I'm sorry. Does the planning board have a secretary now?
Planning board has a secretary, yeah.
Okay. Is that secretary gonna continue, or did you hire?
She had told the planning board that she would stay until we had the project, the master plan project completed. And the current contract with the Lakes Region Planning Commission extends, I think, through June. So there are some outstanding items there. And I'm not aware of the current status other than last conversation was that the individual at LRPC that's working on it acknowledged, yeah, she's got some work to do to finish the technical piece up.
Okay.
So,
Sorry to interrupt.
No.
okay. Anything else? No?
I guess I'm gonna be at the library at 9 o'clock on Thursday.
Yep.
And
Thank you for stepping up.
You're welcome. And I haven't quite got the Tough to Road Times article done, but it's gonna be done today.
The what?
Tough to Road Times,
Oh, okay.
so
Yep.
I wanted to include the town meeting.
Information, sure.
Right. And that's about it.
All right, let's see, what's new with me? I mentioned earlier that I went to the Utilities Energy Efficiency Workshop on Thursday. It's always a good kind of a reminder, refresher on that. Been several years since we took a look at insulation, energy sealing on town buildings. Probably makes some sense for us to move forward along those lines. Lighting, the LEDs continue to march along faster technology-wise, I think, than even computers do, so that,
Wow.
you know, LED systems that were available a year ago are, you know, they're like Model Ts now in the LED world. So, again, that's another thing that certainly continues to make sense to look at.
Yeah, on two fronts. I mean, you save energy, but you also don't have that disposal problem that we have with
Yes,
fluorescent.
yes, exactly. And, you know, lower maintenance
It certainly makes a
issues.
difference, yeah.
And one of the things they were talking about is outdoor lighting and, you know, like parking lot lighting and that sort of thing. With the LEDs today, it's pretty standard that with an exterior light, downshining light like we have on the end of the building, you can have, the setup is you have a certain low level lighting all the time, and then when somebody drives in, it gets brighter.
Yeah.
So you got just a little bit of lighting out there to kind of cover the area, and then when you need enough lighting for somebody to really see in there, it automatically just bumps up and then drops back down. So just interesting stuff. In terms of what's going on with me, the Milfoil Joint Board is meeting on Thursday morning, right here, 9 o'clock. If anyone wants to come watch paint dry, we'll be here bright and early. Thursday night is planning board. We have several pit applications that are coming back to the planning board for review and approval. I want to say maybe there are 4, and not sure, but it might be up at the townhouse. Last time Fent was in, there was a large crowd of abutters, and I expect that they will be back again.
Minutes on that.
What's that?
I read the minutes on that one.
Yeah.
Seemed pretty contentious.
Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's all that I have at this point now.
I know we signed a contract with the co-op this morning for settling assets.
Signed the settlement, yeah.
Do we have a similar case with the telephone company? I know that-
There was a settlement on a telephone company appeal a while back, and I'm not aware that we have anything ongoing with them. We do with PSNH,
Right.
and that particular appeal is, as you've seen from recent correspondence, is moving forward, so.
Right. No, I had a conversation with a selectman from Albany last week, and they're, as all of the people up in the North Country here, are struggling with getting high-speed fiber optic internet in their town. And it dawned on me that if there was a similar suit going with the telephone company, that a nice settlement would not be money, but would be some sort of upgrade to the
Fiber optic.
fiber optics. I know the cable company, it's a franchise, so they don't really, I guess they pay a fee to the pole owners.
Yep. I'm not aware that we have any,
With Fairpoint? Wasn't it tri-fingered Fairpoint, Public Service, and New Hampshire Co-op? I'll go back through my notes.
all right, if you would, yep,
It fades with time.
yep, that's for sure.
They were all parallel universes.
All right. So, let's move on to correspondence, how about that?
That's good.
Oh, yeah. Let's see, some ongoing stuff. All right. So we have here the 4 quotes to clean up the property at 107 Union Wharf Road. And
We're ready to award.
I think we should be ready to go. Jack recommends that we go with Charlie Smith.
And we have in the Manila folder some comments about that. That's an appropriate time.
Yep. So,
About Charlie Smith or about?
no, about.
The timing, remember we had some questions
Yeah,
about.
yeah, and that says that we're good. So, I will move that we award the contract to Charlie Smith for clean out of the property at 107 Union Wharf Road.
In the amount of,
And didn't he give a price that was contingent upon recycling?
And his, which one is it here?
that's a
I think it's the top one. I think that was a max on
second
cost.
page.
Is it right there on the front?
Okay. So,
Isn't that-
yes. And this is in a not to exceed $5,500.
I'll second.
Under discussion, what were the other estimates?
So we had a quote from junk removal services for a fixed price of, well, for an estimate of $5,200, not including anything that they didn't see when they took a drive-by on the 4th of February.
Yeah, cost plus.
Yep. We had one for $6,800 from Starkey Cleanouts. So that's what we've.
We had 3 competitive bids.
What's that?
We had 3 bids.
Yep.
I just take
So-
the lowest one.
I've known someone who has used this service, and they're a person who is reputable and they can work with.
Yep. All right. So, all those in favor, I'm sorry, I misstated. Charlie Smith's not to exceed is $5,400. All right. So there's a 4th one here, and the 4th one is a minimum of $5,500.
And not to.
So I get a minimum of 52, minimum of 55, and a fixed of 68, and Charlie's maximum of 5,400, and a less anything that he can get out by selling stuff off.
All
So
my
Motor
motion
vehicles.
remains.
the motor vehicles are separate.
Right.
So, but we gotta get the junk cleanup going first.
Yes, sir.
All right,
The junk has to be cleaned up so people can just view the property.
right, all right,
I'm ready for the question.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right. Okay, so this is the new computer that with the Office 2019 software is $1,120. So
The computer for,
this is to replace the one that's used by the Conservation Commission and Planning Board Secretary. The computer is now in this little office over here, right? All right,
And where does the money come out of?
it's gonna come out of the,
We typically
Yeah,
did
the
it out of
office
office
supplies
supplies.
line.
It was not budgeted for. This is one of those 2007 ones that came up after, like later in the budget
and
season.
I would like to sit with you at some point and go back through. I thought we had kind of timelines put together, but we hadn't looked at them in a while, and so, anyway. So this will go against office
But that's what, right,
expense.
that's what we've taken them in the past.
Well, I don't, probably where it ought to be.
Okay.
So, and this computer is becoming problematic.
Yeah,
Is that
she's
right?
had some issues with it, yeah.
All right. So I will move that we purchase a replacement computer for the Conservation Planning Board Secretary use in the amount of $1,120.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Not for me.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Got an update on school financing from Jane Farini in Portsmouth, who's been bird dogging this. She attended the Finance Committee work session on HB 709. Says that, among other things, according to the committee's discussion today, that there will not be a provision that excess SWEP be sent to the state. So that's good news, and I think we need to continue to be vigilant.
I
with respect to
verified that with 2 representatives,
So it's,
thank you to her.
Yep, just something we need to keep an eye on. Again, that's over $2 million to us. In additional costs if the state takes that money. And then somebody else gets to decide where it gets used outside of our school district area. Next item here is we're going to have a recount of the Selectmen's election vote from last Tuesday. The recount will be held at 10 a.m. Wednesday, March 20th, right here at the town offices. And by the recount board. The recount board by law is the town clerk, the moderator, and the board of selectmen. However, since I'm in the race, I will be recused from that counting. Not that I would want to be involved in it anyway. And the moderator will be appointing somebody to stand in for that count. So, never dull moment. New Hampshire 2019 DOT Technical Transfer Conference is on the 18th of April in, where are they holding it?
I think it's a match, or a contract.
Yeah. I think I hand wrote it on.
Is it
Capone Center.
Capone Center? Yeah. So, anybody want to attend?
I read through the format, I didn't see anything there that really jumped out at me about.
It would be duplication for me.
Hmm?
It would be duplication for me. Yeah, I just had a course on that.
Yep. All right. And we had an email here from Chris Fournier at HEB Engineers inquiring about bidding on landfill monitoring on the old capped landfill. And I think we've talked about for next year that we ought to put that monitoring contract out for bid. So let's put this in a follow-up.
Yep,
So
okay,
that we have
Send
it
a copy to Claire.
available.
okay.
And I think that's all we've got in correspondence. One other thing that I wanted to mention, I meant to mention earlier, with respect to town meeting, I talked a little bit about some feedback I'd gotten from people about, the parking lot and the parking situation and traffic and, potential hazards at night. This year, again, a number of people asked me before town meeting why we don't hold town meeting at 7 o'clock instead of 7:30. And I know this question has come up in the past. What I observed as I gathered this year is by 7 o'clock, the hall was pretty well full already. So it's my understanding that the Board of Selectmen set the time of town meeting.
It's not the moderator.
I was told that the governing body determines when town meeting can be. In asking around to some old timers, and I talked with the moderator about it, he said, well, we've always done it at 7:30. So, but in talking to people that have lived here a long time, they said, well, the reason we had it at 7:30 is back in the day, we used to vote on Tuesday, and we'd vote until 5 o'clock, and then we'd count the ballots, and then we'd have town meeting. We used to have town
And then
meeting
we'd
at
eat
7
lunch.
o'clock, and then it got to where there was enough counting that we pushed it back a half hour, so we'd have enough time to finish counting the ballots before town meeting. Well, we don't do town meeting the same day anymore. So I'm going to suggest that for next year that we set the town meeting at 7 p.m. instead of at 7:30. And as I say, my understanding is the governing body sets that, but I will make a motion to that effect, and then we'll follow up and make sure that we're not stepping out of line. For me, the earlier in the evening we start, the better. And I was encouraged that we only took 2 hours this year for town meeting. That was a nice, or thereabouts. but starting at 7 o'clock, help us out just a little more. So, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, under discussion, probably a dozen, 10 to 12 parents of kids' age
Mhm.
wanted to be there to support the library. 7 o'clock, yeah, because you talk about it, you cast your vote, you leave. When it starts to be 7:30 and the meeting doesn't really start with all the explanations till 8 o'clock, and then it's another hour. And I understand where those young people are coming from. So I support your motion.
Well, most of the people that were talking to me were not young people, they were old people
Well,
like me, and you know, I'm falling asleep by 9 o'clock normally, so.
I think there's a cross-section of says, let's try it.
Yep, so, all right. All those in favor of setting the start time for town meeting in 2020 at 7 PM, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed.
All right.
Anything else? Any other business? Any other public input?
I have
Joe?
Questions?
Yes, sir.
Just the comments, the first thing is Fairpoint's now called Consolidated,
Nice.
which may now bring a different group of people into play in reference to your comments earlier. The planning board is gonna meet on Thursday, which is March 21st.
Yes.
Can we make a decision sometime today where it's going to be? I don't need to be
That's-
running
that's
from one
not-
building
that's-
to the next.
That's not my call. That's the planning board's call.
But you're a representative of the planning board. Can you think you can get somebody to set it up to let us know where it's gonna be? Please?
I can't, but I'm sure the planning board chairman, in consultation with the secretary,
Yeah, they have to notice
can
it.
make
I
that
was gonna say, I
call.
think it's
Yeah.
posted, I just don't know.
So I didn't,
Is Matt still head or is he
Yes.
leaving? And
he's chairman.
I haven't talked with Leanne and I missed the last one and the one before that I was running between two buildings, okay? I just wanna know what's going on.
It has to be
My
posted legally.
my sense is that they're probably gonna be up top of the hill. You know,
That's okay.
Fenton is coming back again, and he brings a large crowd with him, so.
Well, if your sense tells you that, then I wanna know what the Powerball numbers are for Wednesday night. Okay, moving along. Chip, the $40,000 to $45,000 that we voted, the people voted for last Wednesday, okay? For the monitoring of the what? When is this process gonna start,
Today. We just signed the
We just signed the
contract.
contract.
okay?
So my understanding is that they're gonna be beginning to gather samples in the spring.
Okay. And from there, we get an analogy of what's going on, and then we turn around and sue Wolfboro? Is that how it works?
Just to clarify some of the stupidity that happened at the town meeting, we can't sue over intentions. Their intention is to do something on that land. They haven't done anything yet,
Okay,
so we have no action. What we're doing is we're going to get a baseline together so that when and if they do something on that property, we know how it was before they started, presumably.
okay.
The planning board, hopefully at some point in time, will notify, or our attorney can notify Wolfboro that they need to go to the planning board to change the use of the land from low density residential to some sort of industrial use and do a site plan review. None of that's happened yet, so we can't go suing.
Occasionally, I'll bring it up and just remind the people out there watching what's going on, and
Okay.
I'll refer to you. Thank you very much, that's all I have right now.
Okay,
Oh, John's up.
anything else?
The meeting at the town is at the townhouse Thursday.
Thank you very
Already
much.
posted.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Jack. All right. So I guess we're up to adjournment. I'm sorry, it's only 10:20.
Do we have something to read here?
Yeah,
I'll motion we adjourn.
Okay.
the meeting.
all those in favor? Aye. Look at that.
Oh, gee, thank you.